Hi everyone, it's Valerie, and today I want to go through this super cute little album that I've been working on. It's a junk journal, and if you are not familiar with junk journals, it's basically a journal that you make using pieces of, for a better lack of a better word, junk, but not necessarily junk either. You can do things that you've saved. You can use other pieces, like I've used some Tim Holtz ephemera. This is the Keepsake ephemera, and I use this bird from that. And there's probably a couple other things in here that I'll show you as I go through it. I'll give you a little bit of instruction on how I made things as well. And then we'll just add a couple of finishing touches to the book too. Now, this is probably one I'm going to keep, and I'm going to tell you why. When I sewed it together, I used my sewing machine, but I used a really small straight stitch, and I think it's just a little bit too small, because I'll show you inside the book in a couple of spots where it's coming apart because it almost kind of perforated it. So I think I would have to use a larger stitch for sure next time I make one. This is the first time I've made one and used my sewing machine on it. Before, I just did some hand stitches that were quite large, and that worked really well. But anyway, we are going to start. I'm going to just open this up and just show you the outside cover is basically a paper bag. So there's part of your junk that you can use. You can use grocery bags and different things. And when I made this, I'll show you the measurements along here on the bottom. About 11 3/4 is how wide this is. And then it's about 10 1/4 tall. So you've got 11 3/4 by 10 1/4. And then I just literally just folded it in half. And then I'll show you, when I show you on the inside, basically all my inside pages are pages that have been folded in half as well for this one. So it made it kind of easy. So to start with, I'm going to tell you the ribbons I've used on the front here. This is a retired Stampin' Up! Ribbon called Metallic Mesh Ribbon. This is wavy trim. I believe it is still current, and it's a nice natural trim that I thought was really pretty. And then I used this Crushed Curry seam binding ribbon is what it's called, and it's got a little bit, you can see a little bit of, not really texture, but it's just kind of crinkly a little bit. And it was the perfect color because I thought it matched the little bird at the bottom. So I used those 3 ribbons, stapled them onto my little paper here before I stuck it down. This paper is an old Stampin' Up! Paper as well. I've got these little, or this little cute little charm here that it has a little butterfly on it, a couple of little jewels. I got the little charm from these Day to Day charms by Maggie Holmes. They're an American Crafts product. So be on the lookout for those kind of things when you're in the stores, because they add some cute little things to your projects. I've got at the top here, I don't know if you can see it really well, but it is a little paper doily, and it's folded over the front and the back of this paper. And then, of course, I glued it down so it would stay. And, of course, a little wooden butterfly and a little wooden heart. And then this here where it says, "No one is you, and that is your strength." I thought it was perfect for the cover of the little album. And I got that from some little temporary tattoos made by Sugar Boo. I got these in a little local store, and they all have these little things. And so the actual tattoo, little temporary tattoo that had the word was strength. And then this is just a different one. Just wanted to show you what it looked like in the package. But then I just saved that little piece, and I thought it would be perfect to use for something. So again, your junk, something that you would normally just discard or put in the recycling, you can use on all these cute little junk albums. Now, of course, you don't have to put everything together like this. You can buy a little album that's already bound and make a junk album, and maybe I'll make a video showing that at a later time. So on the inside, I used a piece of an old McCall's catalog. This is like the inner part of it. I had bought these at a thrift store, and This is like from February 1960. It looks like 1962 maybe, but I don't know. It might be something different because the corner was ripped off. But I just took a piece of that, attached it to my brown paper bag. So that makes this just a little bit thicker. And it's perfect. I stamped some little flowers on there. That's the best thing about these. You can stamp, you can add things to them. Whatever you want to do, ribbons, paper, anything. So I'm going to take all these little pieces out that I've got here, and I'll show you. I use just a flat craft colored, like a card bag that you would get if you went into a store and bought a specialty card or something, or a jewelry bag, I guess you could call it too. I folded the bottom up, glued it on the sides to make an extra pocket, added some ribbon, a little bumblebee die cut, and this paper here, I stamped on it with the same stamp a couple of different times, just so it had something on it and it wasn't just plain. And this paper came from a caroling book, a book, you know, of Christmas carols. And so again, like I said, this will be folded in half. And my very last page here is that same, because these are all folded in half. You can see at the center how they just all come together once you've sewn them. So this little piece of paper came out of just a little cheap notebook that you can buy at Walmart or wherever, and you can rip the pages out. You can tea dye them, which is what I did. You just make some tea, put it in something flat, like a 9x13 cake pan is what I did. And then I just laid my papers in there and let them soak until they got a really pretty tea dye on them, and dried them on paper towels. And then I just stamped cute little foliage on there. I collect postage stamps, and this came in a package of postage stamps that I'd bought a long time ago. This is a stamp from Hungary, but I didn't want to just glue this down on something because on the back it's got some cute little postage mark stamps on it. So I thought it would just be cute just to stick in here. Now, the fantastic thing about these is you can write little notes on them, whatever you want for your junk journal. This is another interesting little piece that came off from some Stampin' Up! Paper from several years back. I don't even know. It's been a long time. But it just had little advertisements and thing on it, and I thought it was cute. You could throw it in here. You could even put some extra paper on the back so you could write notes on it if you want to, or you can just stick a photo to it, put it back in that pocket. So let's flip to the next page. And on this page, I got this little glossy photo out of something. I don't remember what it was out of, but of course it's showing women for women's suffrage. Got a little die cut, put status update, a little flower. And then I came over to this page here, and this is one of my favorites because I used a card from one of the old Project Life cards from Stampin' Up! And on the other side it says, "Today is a good day to smile." But when you put it in this envelope, you don't get to see that saying. So I thought I would just put it in this way because you can see the little grass there. Now this envelope was another thing that I tea dyed. This is just an envelope that a bill came in. And I just cut it in half. Kept that little window because I thought that was really cute. And look, it's coming apart. I'm going to have to glue that back in. Let's see if I can get it to get back in there with just a little spatula, because I didn't realize it was coming out, but it just needs a little bit of glue on the bottom there to hold it in. So I'll do that later. And then I just sewed it with a zigzag on my sewing machine. And it makes a cute little pocket envelope. And then you can stick your little tag in there. Flip over to the next page. I used a page from a bird book. I had this old bird book, and some of the pages were ripped or torn, and I'm just like, let me just use some of those. So I went ahead and I used a little sponge dauber. And then I had some of these old inks. They're made by Sukaniko, and it's called All Purpose Ink. And in this one is Vegas Gold. and I just shook it up, and then I had my little sponge dauber. And then in the lid, you can see how that's in there. You can just daub that sponge dauber in there and then daub yourself a little circle onto something. Now this takes a long time to dry, so I'm going to stamp it there, not on my book, because it'll take longer than we want to dry. So I don't want to turn the page and have, you know, wet ink all over everything. And then another little book that just had some little grid paper on it. And I used a piece of tissue paper that had little words all over it and just ripped a little piece off and glued it down. And I thought that added just a little something to it. Of course, you can write on both sides of this. You can write little notes in here. Again, adding pictures anywhere in the album is fantastic. I even thought this would be good right here. I had a little half of a doily, put down some washi tape, and then I thought a picture could go right there over this page. This is just a book that had some wildflowers and different things in it, and I thought it was interesting because it gave a little bit of color to the book. And I thought it would just be cute to add some little things. And now I'm going to take and show you, we're just going to add a couple little extra things to this. I think we'll add to this page just because I feel like it needs some little positive words or something, like maybe this here. It says dream big. You probably can't read it because it's very tiny. I'm going to stick that on there. And these are some Allie Edwards stickers that I think are really cute. Maybe we'll throw Be Fierce on there. And these are just tiny little things that you can add to your album, and it just gives it something extra. And this I'm going to leave the way it is because I want to have that extra space for writing. And again, that same page, because now it's just flipped over. And a little spot that I stamped a dahlia on. This was the exact same paper that I used here, but only half a sheet. And it was tea stained as well. And then another page from the bird book. And I only stuck down the center of my little die cut butterfly here because I wanted those wings to be able to pop up if I, you know, if I had it laying out maybe and just wanted it like that. I'm going to add a little bit of washi tape to this page because as I go through this, I find little things that need to be added and things that are just fun to do. And it's kind of hard to plan a junk journal. You don't really plan it, you just do it. And so I don't know if you've made a junk journal. If you have, give me a comment about it. Tell me what maybe something that you've done that's really great. And I'm just going to rip a little piece off from this because I want that edge just a little bit rough on that, on both of these. I'm just going to stick it kind of across here, I think. And then maybe we can add a piece that has this little flora and fauna on it. And I didn't even tell you what brand that was. It's by the Paper Studio. And I bought it probably a few months ago, but I got it at Hobby Lobby, so they probably still have it. But it's super cute. It's got just this fantastic, will add a little bit of color. Obviously, that's the first time I've opened it and used it, but I just love the patterns that are on it. And we'll use the other one a little bit later that has these little mushrooms because I saw a page that I thought I wanted to put that on. Now this page here is not tea dyed. It is from a vintage notebook and you can see where it used to be in a spiral notebook, but instead of ripping the pages out, I went ahead and just unthreaded the spiral part of it so I could just have the sheets. I gave it a little fold. So you've got that whole sheet that you can write on now. And this is just a little idea that you can do in any little album that you have. And then I stamped observations, a little arrow, and a little heart on there. Used a piece of a map, and this is actually from an atlas book that was pretty damaged. I try not to use brand new things, only because, you know, because you want to kind of keep those. Now here's what I was telling you about the smaller stitch I used. You can see where some of these have just started coming apart because they kind of perforated it, that small stitch. So that's why this will be an album I'll keep for myself and I won't give as a gift because I don't want to give something that's falling apart to anyone. This is from a Stampin' Up! Notebook. It was a little, and again, I took the spiral out, but it was just a little notebook. I don't remember what it was called. It had a floral-ish cover on it, but it was still, it was a chipboard. It wasn't colored or anything. And then I just stuck that on the other side of the map page, added a special delivery, which came from that Tim Holtz keepsake ephemeras. And then on this page, and when I show you the other side, I think you'll like this page, what this paper is. But on this side, it looks like it's been tea dyed, but it's not. That's just the color that it was. And it came from an album or a notepad that I bought at Anthropologie, which is not a normal place that I shop, but I happened to walk in there and I saw this notepad and I'm like, I'm gonna need that for something someday. But it's got all these fantastic pages and they're numbered, and each one has a beautiful little quote at the bottom. Some of them are by people you know, some of them are not by people you know, some of them doesn't even say who said them. Like there's one from Maya Angelou, one from Marilyn Monroe, but it's just a fun little pad of paper that you can use for different things. And because on here this little piece of paper here has the words today, the word today typed over and over, I want to stamp on this with a cute little stamp by Echo Park. This is called the Day in the Life stamp set, and it's got this little today. And I want to stamp that on here because I think that's perfect. And I think we'll put it at the top. So what I do when I'm stamping after my album is already put together, I bring out a foam pad. This is from Stampin' Up! You can get them from other places too, but this is just where I happen to have mine from. You can leave the album closed and just push it in like that, or you can kind of bend the album back too and just stamp like this so you know it stays flat. But because I'm going on the corner, I can just leave it open like this. And I'm gonna just use some Memento because it dries pretty quick. And I'll just stamp it on there to make sure it's stamping the way I want it to. And then we'll just stamp that right at the top. And then, of course, you can use this again for journaling. You can add a date to it, whatever you want to do with it. Let's go ahead and give that stamp a cleaning so I don't stick my hand in it in a minute because, you know, that's what you've seen me do it before. I'll do it again. So again, here's the inside of that page. Aren't these pages fantastic? This was page 9 out of 100. It's got up here in the corner, it says date, so you can put your date on there. And at the bottom it says, follow your bliss and the universe will open doors where there were only walls. And this is by a person named Joseph Campbell. I'm not sure who that is. Maybe some of you do. If you do, comment on it. Let me know. Maybe it's you. Maybe Joseph Campbell's watching this. But that was a good quote. So I took a vintage doily, and I only glued around the center, but I folded it in half so it goes around the other side. So you could just write something on here. You could stamp something on here. You could add stickers to it. Again, this is starting to come apart in the center already. So again, if you're going to do this, use a larger stitch than I did because I used a very tiny stitch and it kind of perforated everything. Flip it over. I used another one of those bags, those little craft jewelry bags or card bags. Added a little Project Life card on the inside. This says did this. You can put some things on there. I stamped stay cozy. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is relax. And then it's got this fantastic little image from Stampin' Up! And I don't remember what the name of that stamp set is, but it's a good one. And eventually I'm going to go back and color this. I'm not going to do that right now. But if I decide to use something other than colored pencils, like if I'm going to use an alcohol marker, I'll put a sheet of paper in here just so it doesn't go through everything. Although It probably wouldn't go through this, but I'd still put a piece of paper in there just in case. But this is fantastic because you can use this to put photos in or whatever you want inside that little bin. We've got some cute little tinsel ribbon on here, and this is something I've had for years, so I don't even know if this is made anymore, but this was by Melissa Francis, Ribbons and Trim, and it doesn't really say what the name of the trim is, but it was just this little silver tinsel that I love because it gives a little bit of bling to everything. Just added it to this little tag that has some lines on it so you can write on it, add memories again, put photos in these pockets or tickets if you went, you know, to a concert or something. Little pocket I made out of a page that came out of an animal book that says the moose on it, and I thought it was cute. And then this page. This is the other half of one of those, the Songbird pages. And I don't know if I mentioned that before, but that was this half right here. So those two are from one page. I went ahead and did the little dauber trick, but with silver instead of gold. And then this piece of paper here is actually from a piece of scrap paper that I had stamped, and I was making some cards, and I was using dragonflies and butterflies and different things, and I was stamping on here, and it just looked really cute, so I just ripped a little piece out and glued it on there because why not? It's art, right? It's all what you make it. And then of course the back of this one I didn't put anything on because I thought maybe this would be a good page for a photo or something like that, but we could stamp something on it, like maybe let's use this beautiful stamp here from the Day in the Life stamp set from Echo Park. And I will need my little, I'm going to go ahead and use Memento again, but always make sure you put down that just got ink everywhere on that. That's gonna just smear. Let me clean that real quick because I just stuck that in there like a mad lady. So I'm just gonna get some ink on the letters this time, hopefully, and not everything else. But if you try to stamp after your album is put together, and I still did get a little bit of ink there on the top of this stamp. I think I may need to trim that stamp down a little bit just so it doesn't do that when I stamp, but it's okay. Again, this is an album I'm keeping for myself, so I'm not too worried about it. And even if I wasn't keeping it for myself, you can always stick a little piece of washi tape over that or whatever you want. I just pulled my tag out from the front of the book. Let's toss that back in there. But what I had started to say and didn't finish was, if you're trying to stamp on this after you've put your book together, it can be kind of lumpy because like you've got tags in here, you've got little things, and at some point you may put some little rhinestones or something at different parts, and you may end up not getting a really good image. That's why you always need to use a mat or something, unless you go ahead and stamp before everything's put together. But I don't think I had that far. I always just end up trying to put things together later with these junk journals. So I'm going to dump these out. I'm going to save this little mushroom because I want to use that mushroom later. Let's find something here that we can stick above. Oh my gosh, there's so many little pieces in this one. Maybe we'll just, that flower doesn't quite work unless you put it upside down. We don't want that. I'm going to save those mushrooms again for a page later. Maybe we'll do one of these butterflies. There we go. We can just glue a little butterfly down there. It will cover up that smudged ink. And always remember, when you're doing projects, there's no mistakes. You can always fix them. We'll just add that butterfly. Perfect. Now you can't see where the extra ink was. We can always add, maybe this little thing here would be cute. But I also want to put photos on this page, so I'm not going to add that on there just because I want to put photos there later. All right, and the other half of that Wildflower book. I put a little postage stamp on there. You get these in the mail all the time from nonprofits. And it looked similar to the Rose Bay or Rhododendron flower there. So I just stuck it on there. I haven't put anything on this page yet. Again, another one of those I thought for photos. And the other half of that cute little grid paper. Now, when the album's closed, originally it just had these little ribbons hanging out. And like, it needs some extra ribbon hanging out on the side there. So I just went ahead and stapled some ribbon to this page. This is going to be a good journaling page. Maybe we'll stamp on that. There's one over here that says, "Don't forget," from, this is a Heidi Swapp stamp set. She has a lot of good journaling stamps, and I'm going to use this "Don't Forget." I think that's perfect. Now, I will say, from all the different brands, the Heidi Swapp stamps are a little bit thinner, but they stamp fantastic. So don't let that deter you if you've seen them and you've thought, well, I don't want to stamp with those. They're a little bit thinner. They stamp great. I haven't had any issues with stamping with any of her stamps yet. Let me move that because I'm going to stick my finger in it. I'm just going to put the "Don't Forget" right at the top. That adds just something to that page so it doesn't look quite so blank. And then, of course, you can always number down the side and put something that happened on a particular date that you did, you know, or gifts that you got for Christmas or whatever. And then you get the whole back side. This is a dictionary page. Dictionaries are great because you can get some fantastic pages out of those. Now this one, you can see there's half of a piece or a quarter of a piece here where this is glued onto. This is the other part of that very first page with the songbird on it. Because it was a little bit wider, I just folded it a little bit different and just glued the dictionary page down to that edge. Of course, added some of the Tim Holtz ephemera on there from that first pack that I haven't opened in front of you because it's just got a lot of pieces in it too, the keepsakes. Flipped it over, used a fantastic new stamp, classic typewriter, and it's by Deep Red Cling Stamps, and you can see it's quite large, but it's such a great stamp. I love it. Did some of the gold dots with the, again, the all-purpose ink for in Vegas Gold. That's what it was called, Vegas Gold. Another partially tea-dyed paper that you can go ahead and, you know, stick down anywhere you want and journal on. This is where I thought I might put some mushrooms because I thought it kind of went really well there. So let's glue down a couple of mushrooms because it's just cute. Of course, on that dictionary page again, you can add photos or clippings from newspapers or anything that's important to you. You can just glue them on, or you can just leave it the way it is. You don't have to add all the extra things into it unless you really want to. And of course, with these journals, you can leave them just the way they are, just as a little coffee table book to set out and people can look at and see all the cute little things you've put into them. You don't have to necessarily journal in them unless you want to. But I think they're good for both. Do a little bit of journaling and also, as long as it's nothing too personal, you can leave it out so people can read what you've journaled. Flip it over. This is the page from the caroling. I wanted to add some of this mushroom on this side, which I can kind of bring it around the top edge even. And again, I like to kind of make that not exactly straight, just a little, give it a little bit of a ripped piece on the ends of them. Rip it, can put some of it on this side, flip it back around, and just fold it over. You can do this obviously with any washi tape. And it just gives just a little bit of extra color, a little bit of extra something on there. And then it's on this side too. Added a little piece of paper here. We've got, this is the back. I didn't do anything on the back cover, but we've got this little piece here. I've got a little vellum envelope. This came with some postage stamps on it at one time. A little cute little flower. And you can see this little half of a gold dot there. I kind of left this here and just stamped it so it was kind of on both pages. I thought that was kind of cute. And then added in this little die cut paper. Maybe we'll stamp something at the top of that. Let's see what we've got. We've got the date and place. I already used status update earlier in the book, not while I was doing this, but let's add the date and place on there. We'll do that at the top, and then this can be a cute little spot just to go ahead and add some extra journaling on. So I hope you enjoyed just going through this with me. I'm gonna go ahead and stamp that off and just see how it looks, and it looks great. So let's just add this right here. And it kind of works out cute with that date and place because you can put your date over here and then the place. You can add some little photos in here. Again, I keep saying photos, but always add those things in because that's kind of, it's kind of like making a tiny little scrapbook if you add extra photos into it, and then you're not having to worry about a huge scrapbook. You've got your little, this is the other half of that McCall's page. And of course I did a piece of washi tape across the top. That's washi tape here. And I went all the way across the top. And the reason I did that was an actual mistake. My paper wasn't quite straight and I had a little bit of the brown paper bag showing through, and I really didn't want that. So I'm like, let me just add a piece of washi tape that'll cover that up. Again, no mistakes, just things you can fix and change, make them a little bit different. But I hope you enjoyed this. It was fun doing this little album, and I plan on doing some more. I'm going to show you this from the top in some different ways, maybe some other little junk journals and different things that are super fun to do. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you go through things and save some things and make yourself some cute little albums on your own. But thank you for joining me, and I hope you join me next time. You have a great afternoon. Bye.